What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, it's finally confirmed. The content creators were actually not given much information to pass on to you guys, so we apologize for that, and thank you guys so much for your patience. But yes, 100% it is confirmed to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the upcoming collab with Raid, and that was under a lot of speculation, but now it is 100% confirmed. So in this video, we're going to go over all the information that was provided to us and I can share with you guys at this time. So without further ado, let's jump into this. So we have the Raid Shadow Legends Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles deck here. I'm super excited for this collab because actually the Turtles were actually one of the IPs that I was kind of excited that they would actually pursue. However, the Turtles was not part of the survey selection or choices that was available on my survey. So I thought they were maybe not likely to pursue it, but I'm really happy and excited to see them here now, and they made it happen. So let's take a look at what we have here. All right, so some key info here about the campaign. So it starts on the 21st, so that's going to be probably at the exact time of this upload, and it ends on November 13th, about 3 months away. Let's see. Cowabunga, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have landed in Teleria after a fight in Dimension X. Went away. Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo, April O'Neil, and the fearsome Shredder were catapulted through a portal to various locations across Teleria. Now, I think that's kind of campy, to be honest, but you know, whatever, it's fine. The time travel already exists in the Turtle universe, so why not, right? Leo and Shredder are playing cat and mouse in the Spider Shadowkin control region of Yakai. Raph is cracking skulls with the Krokan Desert Nomads. Donnie is seeking answers about Teleria with Lizardman. April is putting her field journalism skills to the test in the kingdom of Karok. And Mikey is hunting down Pizza with the Bannerlords in the free city of Arnok. All right, so now we know that Pizza exists in Raid as well. And then it goes on and says April must locate and reunite the Turtles before Shredder can take them out one by one. Oh my goodness, the Arbiter is involved too. The Arbiter has sent two of her agents, Gallic and Obero, to investigate these mysterious visitors from a world beyond their own. Will April and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reunite before Shredder gets his steel claws on them? Will the Turtles be able to construct their own portal, defeat Shredder, and bring him back to New York City before it's too late? And will Mikey ever find the pizza he's craving? Okay, not confirmed. So he's looking for pizza in Raid. Okay, you know, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of, you know, the lore, the backstory, it's kind of campy, but hey, it's okay. Nice little flavor there. Let's move on. All right, so some interesting specifics here. We do have a special background just for the Turtles. Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, and Raphael have unique showcase backgrounds. That's pretty cool, right? We saw this with the Asgard Divide situation where Odin, Thor, Freya, and all those guys, they had slightly different backgrounds than their barbarian, faction mates. So in this case, we have the sewers. It looks super cool here, and why not? And here is the sneak peek at the champions here. We got April O'Neil. She's part of the Sacred Order faction. She is a legendary champion, magic affinity, and she is support type. We have Michelangelo here, part of the Bannerlords, spirit affinity, attack based. Donatello is part of the Lizardmen. He's magic affinity and he is a support. Leonardo is a void affinity champion and he is defense type. Raphael is part of the Leonardo is part of the Shadowkins. Raphael is part of the Barbarians. He's force affinity attack type, and Shredder is part of the Shadowkins. He is void affinity HP type. Aesthetically, this looks pretty cool. I think, yeah, it looks great. They definitely fit the turtle aesthetic. I think a little bit, maybe too closely, maybe. I don't know. They maybe fit a little bit too closely. But yeah, it looks super cool. Shredder, I think, looks particularly cool. They made him, very close to what I think Shredder, probably looks like without adding too much Raid into him. He looks, perfectly fine. And he fits really well for the Shadowkin, to be honest. April O'Neil, I'm not a huge fan of this April O'Neil style here. Like, she doesn't fit that well here. All right, so let's check out the loyalty program here. So we have a 14-day loyalty program, Michelangelo Chase. So he's going to be the free login champion here. The champion can be claimed on day 7 and his perfect soul can be claimed on day 14. It's going to be a 5-star perfect soul here, or 5-star split soul, or whatever at the end. We see that here from this image. Primal Shard also up for grabs as well. Some Bannerlord accessories. We have a Savage set paired with a Perception set. The enrollment start date is August 21st, and the last day to enroll is October 30th. Deactivation date is November 13th. So there's a good amount of time to pick him up, and yeah, I mean, hopefully he's going to be pretty good. And here it is. Let's check out his kit. So we got Michelangelo here, his A1. Like I say, he's a spirit attack-based champion from the Bannerlords. Quintus is a void affinity damage dealer for the Bannerlords. I don't know. We'll see how he stacks up against somebody like Quintus, who's free as well. Let's check it out. His A1, Booyah, attacks one enemy 2 times. If either hit was critical, places increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Now that happens after the attack, so he doesn't get increased attack. Yeah, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but hey, he can self-buff himself, which is pretty nice, kind of like Ragash A1 style. His A2, Express Delivery, 4-turn cooldown, down to 3 turns when fully booked. Attacks one enemy. Before attacking, has a 100% chance when fully booked of placing decreased defense on the target. Has a 100% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn. Will ignore 25% of the target's resistance if the attack is critical. That's pretty good. Obviously not as good as, you know, irresistible or anything like that, but ignore 25% of the target's resistance. Could be significant. Then applies debuff spread effect, taking all debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. Will ignore 25% of each target's resistance if the initial attack was critical. Now, that is subject to getting weak hit, so that would force it to not be critical. So if he weak hits, then he's not going to be able to do any of this kind of stuff where he ignores the resistance. So it's a single target, decreased defense, stun, and then a spread on a 3-turn cooldown. Spread all debuffs. I don't think it's that strong, to be honest. Like if we're gonna compare it to like somebody like Odin has the AoE stun, AoE decreased defense, and an AoE strip. So Michelangelo is doing, you know, that on a single target, and then he has a chance to debuff spread, which can get a lot of value, of course. Like this could be good for somebody like maybe in Hydra. You could do a pretty big debuff spread kind of ability, maybe. But I think overall it's okay, but it's not particularly insane. You still need accuracy to land the first decreased defense. And then of course the stun, you know, you get a little bit of a accuracy relief afterwards. So you still need accuracy on him. His A3, Shell Cyclone, 5-turn cooldown, books down to 4-turn cooldown. Attack all enemies, has a 100% chance of placing decrease attack and leech for 2 turns on all enemies. Will ignore 25% of each target's resistance. Then places taunt on this champion for 2 turns. So he has a taunt ability. He places decreased attack and leech on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is that great, having a damage dealer place taunt on themselves, basically taking the hits. Yes, you get decreased attack, yes, you get leech, but honestly, most damage dealers can't absorb any damage at all. He doesn't have unkillable, he doesn't have block damage, so literally placing taunt on himself, no shield or anything like that, just means he's just gonna die right away. His passive here, passive effect, 15% chance to evade an enemy skill and all its accompanying effects. If this champion is under a taunt, the chance to evade increases to 30%. Whenever Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael attacks, this champion joins in on that attack. That's pretty cool. So he has some partner bonuses here. The evade mechanic is interesting because that's going to help him, you know, not take full damage from getting hit. So that's kind of cool. 15% is not particularly high or anything like that. No books or anything going on here. His active effect places a shield equal to 300% of this champion's attack on this champion for 1 turn when they receive a hit. Its active effect is a 1-turn cooldown. So let's say he has, I don't know, 30k HP. A 300% shield. Would that mean that it's going to be a 90k shield? That seems pretty insane. Now, I was just mentioning that the taunt buff was not accompanied by a shield or unkillable or block damage. I mean, his active effect makes it so that it is now accompanied with a shield. He also has an evade mechanic. So now his A3 actually looks way better. He comes with accuracy in all battles, a 70, which is actually a decent sized one for a non-void champion. I think overall, yeah, can be useful. Can be useful, especially for newer players. He definitely can be useful. Decrease attack, leech are very good against clan boss. He's going to bring a shield as well, also bringing decreased defense as well. So for somebody like him versus clan boss, I think he's going to be very strong. He can be useful for Hydra as well with the leech, decrease attack. The evade mechanic keeps him alive. I'm not too sure if you're going to use him in like arena or anything like that, but I think he definitely has a serviceable kit. He does require accuracy though. And yeah, Michelangelo is going to be the free login champion here. Let's move on. And here we go. This is the fusion news. We got everything here. We got Donatello. He's going to be coming on August 21st. He's going to be launching a fragment event. Yeah, Lizardman Magic Affinity support champion. He's going to be all-around support champion. His main focus is keeping the allies alive and decreasing the cooldown of their skills. Okay, so a little bit of reset ability. He also has some special moves when Donatello has his turtle brothers by his side, as his passive skill allows him to join the attack with either Leo, Mikey, Raph, or another Donnie attack. Okay. So Magic Affinity support part of Lizardman is A1 Bodacious Bash. Attacks one enemy, heals all allies by 5% of their max HP, instantly activates one random continuous heal on all allies. 5% team heal is not bad. And then the instant activate continuous heal, that could be interesting. We have somebody similar with Senna with an A1 like that. Let's see how it synergizes with the rest of his kit. A2 Shell Shocker. Attacks all enemies. Decrease the cooldowns of all ally skills except this champion by 2 turns. This is on a 6-turn cooldown. Books down to 4 turns, by the way. This skill cooldown cannot be decreased by other cooldown decreasing effects. Okay, they have to put that in nowadays. Places a big increased speed buff on all allies by for 2 turns. So it's an AoE attack, decreases the cooldown by 2 turns, and then adds increased speed on a 4-turn cooldown. I mean, you can kind of think of somebody like Painkeeper that has an AoE attack with a heal and it's a cooldown reduction by 1 turn. So this is probably something similar. It's a 4-turn cooldown with a 2-turn reduction and an increased speed. It's going to be useful for sure. You got an A3 Secret of the Ooze, removes all debuffs from all allies, a cleanse, that's awesome. Places a continuous heal buff and strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. Also fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. So it's a cleanse, turn meter fill, continuous heal, strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown. Wow, this is really strong actually. I was expecting it to be a 4-turn cooldown, but it's actually on a 3-turn cooldown. So you can compare him to somebody like Freya. Freya has a 3-turn, 20% turn meter boost with the cleanse and a block debuff. So in this case, you're trading a block debuff for a continuous heal and a strengthen. I think that's a pretty okay trade. And Freya's cleanse ability is also on a 3-turn cooldown, so it's very comparable. I kind of like it. I mean, as a fusion, I think this guy is going to be really, really solid. And let's get to his passive. Maybe there's more. So his passive effect, whenever the other turtles attack, this champion will join into the attack. That's cool. Active effect, 6-turn cooldown, books down to 4 turns. Whenever an ally is about to receive a fatal hit, this champion prevents that ally's death and keeps them alive at 1 HP. Then equalizes that ally's HP. The HP level of that ally will be brought up to the average HP level of the team if you have multiple champions, blah, blah, blah. Wow, so it also has a cheat death passive similar to Freya. So I guess it has the ability to bring back one champion and kind of give them like maybe like Galathier's passive where he comes back with the equalized HP. Now with Freya, it is a targeted effect, so it's kind of a good and bad thing. So it always protects your champion with the highest crit damage. In Donatello's case, it's going to protect an ally, so any ally that receives the fatal damage, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. So that's, it can be good, it can be bad, but I mean, yeah, it's really good. This champion is solid. He's solid, and he has increased ally HP in all battles by 30%. Yeah, it's fine. Really solid. He has cooldown reduction in his kit, increased speed, he has turn meter boost, he has a cleanse, he has basically everything as a support champion, and he has a cheat death passive effect that helps somebody on your team. So yeah, as a fusion, I think I'm kind of excited to have this guy as a support. He's definitely going to be helpful for a lot of early game players, I think. We'll see more when we get our hands on him for some testing. Let's move on here. Okay, so they're going to provide a little bit more details into the other champions kits here. So we have Raphael. Let me move my head here. Raphael. So he is Force Attack Barbarian. Sure. Raphael's the hot-headed one. Skewer attacks one enemy twice. Places block revive if the target is killed. Okay, an A1 that has block revive is very strong. Each crit hit fills the champion's turn meter by 10%. So if he attacks twice, that's a 20% turn meter fill. Yeah, that's really good with the block revive. His A2 Seismic Slam is an AoE attack, books down to 3 turns, ignores shields, block damage if attacking under Berserk debuff placed by this champion. Okay, so it only ignores those when he's under Berserk. If this champion is not under Berserk, placed by themselves, the damage inflicted against enemies under shield buffs is increased by 50%. Each crit fills this champion's turn meter by 10%. Yeah, it could be strong. I don't know what the other part is. He requires Berserk placed by this champion on himself. Let's see if he does it by himself. Not today, Knucklehead. That is A3. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit ignores 20% of the target's defense. That's great. Places a perfect veil and a unkillable buff on this champion for 2 turns if the target is killed. If the target survives, places a Berserk debuff on this champion for 2 turns instead. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. So Berserk basically allows him to deal more damage, but he also receives more damage. His passive here, New York City Beatdown. Whenever the other turtles attack, this champion will join into the attack. Places a Berserk debuff on this champion for 1 turn when any champion dies. Has a 20% chance of granting an extra turn when attacking under Berserk placed by this champion. Now, there's not too many champions that can place Berserk on him, so that's yeah, not too important. But yeah, so he has a chance to place Berserk on himself when any champion dies. And his A3 can place Berserk on himself. Now, I feel like the Berserk buff feels slightly inconsistent because if you use his A3 to kill somebody, you get Veil and Unkillable. You don't get the Berserk. And if you don't have the Berserk, then you can't ignore shield or block damage on his A2. So it feels like it's a little bit difficult to kind of use him, I think, because you do rely a little bit on the Berserk debuff to make him a full ignore shield or block damage champion. But it's possible that his A3 hits super, super hard anyways, and you don't really care about the Berserk buff at all. I mean, his A1's really solid as well. It block revive and it has turn meter boost, so it could be pretty cool. I think he's a decent damage champion. Unfortunately, no way of surviving any kind of hit, so it's going to be a hard choice for like live arena or anything like that. Leonardo here. So he's a Void Affinity defense-based Shadowkin champion. His A1 attack one enemy 2 times. When counterattacking, we'll repeat the attack against a random ally. So he hits one, hits the other. We'll ignore 3% of the target's defense for each buff on this champion, up to 15%. So 5 buffs, ignore 15% on his A1. Sure, okay. His A2, shield, yeah. Places a increased defense on all allies for 2 turns and places ally protection on all allies. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Also places unkillable and counterattack on this champion. That's interesting. It's similar to like Skull Crushers, I guess. I would kind of say Skull Crusher uses ally protection and it plays unkillable on himself. This is a little bit of an upgrade version of that. So the thing with the Skull Crusher ability is that it places counterattack on everybody instead of increase defense. Now the counterattack is actually really strong on the Skull Crusher because, you know, obviously get more damage out of it. In this case, Leonardo places counterattack on himself only and the increased defense. So I think Skull Crusher is a little bit better than this one, to be honest. But yeah, this is a more defensive kind of buff, whereas Skull Crusher does mix in some offense with the counterattacks. Okay, let's check out his A3 here. It's got a lot of attacks. AoE, attack all enemies. The damage inflicted by the skill increases by 5% for each buff on all allies and enemies. So total buffs. Also removes all buffs from all enemies if this attack kills an enemy. This effect cannot be resisted. TMNT and Unity. Okay, so he's a little bit of a faction, has a little bit of a The turtle faction bonus here. One turtle ally will ignore 15% of each target's defense for each turtle. Does not count himself. 2 turtles. Increases the damage dealt by the skill in proportion to this champion's missing HP. 3 turtles. Activates this skill whenever an ally's HP drops below 50%. Occurs once per skill. Okay, so 30% damage from books. Books down to 3 turn cooldown. It's an AoE that gets damage boost for each buff on the field. Remove all buffs if it kills somebody. Man, that's interesting. Turtles together, and it's a nice little unity boost here. He's not a full unity champion, but he gets a little boost here. It's interesting. It really depends on how hard he hits, to be honest. He's a damage dealer, right? He's a defense based. Let's see here. His passive, Hero in a Half Shell. Places a stone skin on this champion for 1 turn each time this champion's HP drops below 50%. That's pretty good. And then he has the same join in attack with his brothers. Aura, defense in all battles by 33%. He's a Void Affinity Shadowkin. I feel like he's not strong enough. But we'll have to see based on his multipliers. Just on the skill kit, it bases like he's not strong enough though. Let's take a look at April O'Neil. April O'Neil here, legendary magic-based support champion. Breaking story, A1, attack 1 enemy has a 50% chance of placing stun. Okay, so stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification on a target for 1 turn, then places perfect veil on this champion. So she has a little bit of hard CC, and then she places veil on herself. Explosive, scoop. A2, attacks 1 enemy, has a 100% chance, when fully booked, of stealing all buffs from the target. Also has a 75% chance of stealing 100% of the target's current turn meter. Then has a 100% chance of placing a Nullify debuff and Seal debuff on the target for 2 turns. Now let's see if they talk more about the Nullify debuff here. The Seal basically shuts them out from using any kind of masteries or effects from gear sets, so that's pretty nice debuff there. Also comes with a passive effect as a 25% chance, I guess 50% chance of activating the explosive scoop on an enemy when they gain an extra turn or instant turn effect. If there are multiple blah blah blah, so it's on a 4 turn cooldown, 3 turn cooldown when fully booked. Passive effect, so it has a chance to use the A2 when they use an extra turn or instant turn. So they have a chance to steal all buffs, steal all turn meter, and then nullify and seal. Interesting. Okay, so she's a heavy support champion here. Her A3 has a 50% chance of increased accuracy buff on all allies. Also decreases turn meter of all enemies by 20%. It's on a 4 turn cooldown. This ability looks pretty weak, relatively speaking. Turn meter pushback with increased accuracy. She requires accuracy to do her stuff, but she gets a little boost here. Her passive, Ace Reporter, passive effect. Whenever an enemy has their skill activated, teams up with allies to attack, gains an extra turn or instant turn, has their skill cooldowns decreased, get their shield value increased, gets their destroyed HP restored, has HP swapped by allies by themselves, evades an enemy effect or skill, has their turn meter equalized, decreases all skills turn meter by 10%. Sorry, I'm reading this now. So it's basically whenever any of these happen, she has a chance to push back the entire team turn meter by 10%. It's a passive effect. It occurs once per skill. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's a bit of disruption, to be honest. And yeah, it can happen a lot. The active effect here is on 3 turn cooldown, books down to 2 turns. Whenever an enemy removes, transfers, or decreases the duration of any debuff to 0, decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 25%. So in this specific case, whenever they remove, transfer, or decrease the duration of any debuff to 0. So if they like cleanse off, or something like that, then she does the turn meter pushback by 25%. Interesting. She's a pretty big disruptive champion. I don't really see her being super strong, but it's kind of an interesting kit. She kind of reminds me a little bit like Loki, Unfortunately, for a champion like her, it's going to be hard to use. She has a speed in all arena battles by 28%, which is an interesting choice here. Okay, and this slide's going to talk a little bit about the Nullify debuff. So April O'Neil's has the brand new Nullify debuff. Champions under Nullify cannot have their skills activated, participate in ally attacks, be granted extra turn or instant turn, have their skill cooldowns decreased, shields increased, have their destroyed HP restored, have their HP swapped, evade, or skills have their turn meter equalized, or have their HP balanced. Nullify. So that's a lot of stuff that happens. I mean, you know, it's pretty good value. It's pretty good value. This stuff seems to happen, you know, pretty frequently, right? You know, skill cooldowns, instant turns, shields. It's a little bit, it's quite a bit to keep track of, especially some of these less common ones like evade or this equalize. But yeah, it's, you know, it seems like a reasonable debuff here. All right, so onto the event dungeon here. There's a lot of content here actually. The mechanics. The event dungeon is back, and we have a brand new badass boss. It's going to be the Shredder. Surprise, surprise, right? This event dungeon will be available only during the integration. Features 30 stages, no waves, only a boss battle, but he has minions. Keep that in mind. It's going to be open until November 6th. November 6th is when the event dungeon will be open. And here is the Shredder. It's confirmed. We did have the skills of the Shredder shown in the preview video I did yesterday. I think his kit is very, very solid. I'm not going to go over it here in its entirety here. He has a great passive. He can self-buff himself. He's an HP-based damage dealer, so his HP can increase. He has ways to survive. He has ways to reduce damage. So I think as a champion, he looks solid. And as a boss encounter, he should be pretty strong. Clarium did mention that they were looking into the difficulty of the event dungeon, considering that they had the Krosa event dungeon be a little bit too difficult. They said that. So perhaps this time, this event dungeon will not be as difficult, but Shredder as a champion looks very, very cool. HP-based Void Affinity champion. Of course, he will be compared to Taros as the, you know, the pinnacle of the HP Void champion damage dealers. So we'll see how he performs. And in the event dungeon, we can pick up this brand new gear set. It's called the Chronophage gear set. And it comes with a new buff called the Immutable Stack. The Immutable Stack basically prevents 1 turn of cooldown reduction per stack. So personally speaking, I don't think this kit or this artifact set is super strong, considering you need a 9-piece set to prevent 3 turns of lockout. Yeah, it just doesn't feel that strong, to be honest. I find the pinpoint set much easier to use, especially as a 2-piece set. You're going to gain the speed right away, and the intercept buff being way stronger and way more common, to be honest. There's already ways to deal with cooldown lockout, and that's, you know, having strong champions with strong A1s, having mythical champions. That's obviously a big thing, and it feels like the you know, the hate on the cooldown reduction champions is, you know, was hot and heavy about 2 years ago. So you don't really, you know, feel too bad about it nowadays. So having a set completely dedicated to shutting down lockout, I don't think is really necessary at this point. But yeah, it was previewed. Comes with resistance and speed. Unfortunately, speed is on the 3rd piece, which is a little bit of a bummer, to be honest. Ideally, speed would have been on the 2 piece, I think. That would have been nice. So if it went resistance, speed, HP, I think that would have been nice. I think that would have been way nicer because you get 40 resistance on 1 piece. I think that would have made resistance build a little bit more viable, just because you can squeeze 1 ring, for example, and get an extra 40 resistance. But in this case, it's a little bit of a letdown, the way the stats are spread out, and I'm not too high on the immutable buff as well. Lastly, we did cover some of the relics here again in the previous video. Big thing to note is that none of the relics come with speed as the first stat, unfortunately. And the mythical relics don't seem overly powerful at this point. They seem good, but not overly insanely overpowered. Lastly, a little bit of clarification here on the Last Laugh Amulet, the delay effect. So this is a new effect here, which was kind of hard to kind of figure out what it did. We weren't given this information when we made the video yesterday. So the delay effect will prevent a champion from receiving fatal damage instead of delaying it to their next turn, which is weird. That's kind of what I said, but I didn't know how it would actually work out. A champion under delay effect can still be killed by enemies on their turn. So I'm not too sure. I need to see this in action. If a champion under delay effect receives healing equal to the amount of delayed damage, they will not receive any damage on their next turn. If they receive some healing but not enough to equal to the value of the delayed damage, they will receive the amount of delayed damage remaining. If a champion does not receive any healing before next turn, they will receive all fatal damage when their next turn starts. So it's kind of interesting. So I guess you hit a champion and then that hit will be kind of stored as a separate health bar. And if you can fully heal up the damage that you would have received, then you will live. But if you don't, then you will die. Then you will suffer all that damage the next turn. But you can be killed on your next turn. So it's interesting. It's not as good as unkillable, for example, because unkillable means you're unkillable until your next turn. This just literally means you survive one turn, so you have a chance to do your ability and then die the next turn, I guess. It could be okay. And that effect is on a legendary relic, the Last Laugh Amulet. So the wearer has a 30% chance to activate a delay effect when receiving fatal damage. It's up to 60% on level 4. It's a chance to survive, right? It's a chance to survive, chance to do something, one last, chance at it. Technically, this could be probably better than Aspect of Surath. Aspect of Surath has a similar kind of cheat death mechanic, but it pushes back your turn meter, where in this case, it doesn't. But this case, it doesn't save you. You just die the next turn. But sometimes all you need is really one turn. You could put it on a reviver, keep your team alive, bring back your whole team, or to do one more attack, for example. But the Aspect of Surath pushes back your turn meter and only prevents damage, or reduces damage, sorry. Whereas this would stop you from dying. So it's kind of interesting. I think this is definitely a bit better than Aspect of Surath. And could be, it could be the gem from this batch of relics. Otherwise, the relics look pretty okay, but nothing too crazy. Anyways, guys, there you have it. All the info we have on hand at this moment that we can share with you guys. I think everything here is kind of covered. We don't have any test server footage as of right now, so we can't really play test anything. So a lot of these champions are up for debate whether how good they will actually be. Obviously, the damage dealers will have to look at their multipliers, and the support champions based on their kits seem quite reasonable, especially Donatello, which is the upcoming fusion. He's going to be a fragment fusion, guys. So I think he's definitely going to be worthwhile for a lot of people. His kit looks moderate to very good, actually. And Michelangelo as the free champion also looks quite interesting as well. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are excited for this, what you guys think about this collab. Like I said, I'm personally excited about this. I'm a huge fan of the turtles myself. I don't think they particularly fit super well in Raid as they are aesthetically right now. I was thinking more like, like monstrous turtles, but I could see how the company, doing a collab with Raid wants the turtles to still have the same kind of aesthetics or very close to it. And overall, I like it. I think it's great. All right, folks, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Have a great day. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.